I have a dumb question, but I don't know if what your stance on this is. Like, have you heard strange noises at night in these woods? Have you ever wondered? Yeti is a big sort of question.
Right. You know, I've spent a lot of time in the woods and I've never had an encounter with a Yeti. But you know what we did see? My neighbor caught on a camera a 3-legged bear. And it was very interesting because he walked like as upright as you or me. He was missing his front paw. And he just walked upright, and I think because he was missing a leg, life was hard, so he was real skinny. And he had you could see his abs. It was the most interesting thing. And this bear just walked around like this. If you saw that in the woods, you would definitely think you saw Bigfoot. If you just saw it run through the brush, you know what I mean? I was like, I wonder how many people have seen a 3-legged bear and
that's crazy.
Been pretty convinced they saw Bigfoot.
Any other wild stuff that you've seen, like these kind of animals or some?
Oh man,
is there sounds? I'm sure there are sounds at night, dude. Like
there's always sounds. There was on that show. Foxes sound crazy. Every time I hear a fox, I'm like, what the heck? What kind of banshee is out in the woods? I almost forget what they sound like. And you're like, who's the screaming woman in the woods? I had a crazy encounter with a wolverine on that show. That was
what's a wolverine?
A wolverine is like a...
It's like a wolf?
It's like a small wolf. You know what a badger is?
Sure, yeah.
You know that honey badger video?
Right.
It's the same family as that. So it's like a big honey badger.
Okay.
And I had got that moose on the show, and I was living off of that moose. And Wolverine found it, and he tried to claim it as his. And so he was very, very cool little animal, very bold and very stubborn. And I'd be out there in the middle of the day, maybe trying to tan my hide or do something, and all of a sudden you just charge across, grab a piece of meat and bolt off, and you're like, holy cow, man. And he ended up stealing a big thing of fat I had, and basically it came down to the fact that it was either him or me on the island.
Really?
He basically claimed my meat, claimed my place, and
so you had to battle it out.
Yeah, we
Pokemon
had to battle
styles.
it out, and it was pretty wild.
I'm sorry,
I won that one, but we'll see.
Wait, how are you battling a beast at that point? Is it coming and you're waiting for it?
Well, I'd set up the same thing, strings with cans, and I was in my shelter, and I heard a clank clank at night, and I ran out, and I saw him run behind a bush, and eventually I ran out and caught him behind a bush and shot an arrow at him, and it hit him, and then I ran over and he jumped at me and had all the... Anyway.
I can now see why dogs would make so much sense. Because you need dogs for that kind of stuff, right? They start barking. They can smell so much farther away.
And living with the natives, it was interesting because they relied on their dogs a lot. They had different dogs for different purposes. Like if they had dogs that liked to chase bears, which was good when you needed to run a bear off. Or they had dogs that were really good at finding grouse and other birds that the people lived off of, and they had specific dogs for specific jobs, and definitely helped. Almost made it possible.
I can imagine, dude. And does time get weird? Because I'm assuming
time can really feel stretched out. You can kind of lose track of time, which I think you had asked earlier why people quit on the show. And I think it's really easy to lose perspective on time when you're alone because you get so lost in your head and your thoughts that you think a ton of time has gone by. And when in actuality, maybe it's only been 2 months, which seems like a long time and it is a long time to be alone. But but in the grand scheme of things, it'll be over in a flash. It'll soon just be a memory. And I remember on that show at day 66, the production crew came out and they would weigh you, make sure you're not too skinny, and you could continue. They would come and medically check you every once in a while. And I remember on one of the medical checks, they asked, how's it going? It's been 66 days. That's a long time. Or, are you going to...
Would they tell you how many people are still left in the show?
No.
So you had no information.
I figured there were a bunch left. And so I remember telling him, though, 66 days, if I go home now and ask my family, what's new, they'll be like, nothing. Because it's it's just a couple months. It's I'd been gone. I would always go to Russia for a year, and then I would come back. And like we were talking about earlier, because my relationships were strong, I would recognize that, my family still loves me. My friends are still here. And now I'm coming back to my loved ones with new information and stories and stuff. And so I was adding value. So being gone for a year is much longer than a couple months. And so, but I just gained that perspective on time, so that even though when I was actually out there, at times it felt very boring and very long, I recognized that that's kind of an illusion, because as soon as it's over, it's just going to be a memory, and I'll come back and 3 months have passed. It's like not that much of time in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, not in the grand scheme of things.
But in the present, yes, it's very distorting, and definitely think like, I'm never going to get this time back with my family that that I've lost and stuff. But in actuality, you will.
Yeah. I do this thing intermittently. It's a meditation retreat where you go in silence for 10 days.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
You live by yourself. You don't read, write, do any of this. You stay silent and sit and meditate 12 to 13 hours every day. And so that's just sitting. It's not cold exposure or like living in the wilderness like you.
No, that's tough.
And then there is also what I think is the strength of that practice is the minute you go silent, and all the bullshit that you've been carrying just explodes into your mind, and there's images and thoughts and memories and fears and nightmares and all this shit that's floating in your head. The meditation's kind of like an antidote. It slowly allows you to integrate all of that without either ignoring it or falling in love with your mind. So, it's sort of like this Buddhist middle path kind of a way. But it's extremely challenging.
So challenging.
And you drive yourself insane. Like, I mean, my experience with that kind of stuff was, it's day 5 or day 6 on a 10-day retreat, and boss, I feel suspended in this huge ocean of my own mind. My memories are floating around in space, and it's just, you're so alone that how deep you go into your own world, into your own thoughts, you're so disconnected from the rest of the world. When you begin talking again, it takes you like an hour to just get normal and have a proper conversation with somebody. And so I'm just thinking,
how cool is that you do that regularly, semi-regularly? Like not very many people do
It's super scary, dude. It's super scary.
It's very difficult, and but it's valuable because you also see what rises in your head, like
Precisely.
Things that you should.
Pay
Once
attention
this is
to.
over, should pay attention to.
That you were just running away from with more work, with more money, with more this or more that, or more alcohol in some cases.
Exactly, yeah.
But, I mean, 3 weeks when you haven't heard somebody's voice, there's a lot that's going on in your stuff, dude. Like, I cannot... I mean, you've got stuff to do in your
there's a difference,
case.
though. There is a difference, and it's something that, I can admire in what you do is, like, in the context that I've been in, I've always had the opportunity to be active.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Huge
So
difference.
I can, like, go out and collect berries, call moose, do this, do that, which I thought about it on the show because after I got the moose, I was like, boy, I should just not burn any calories now and sit still and just
Eat it and
and conserve.
Right.
And I just did that for a morning and I was like, woo.
Yeah, exactly, brother. You're like, what the... Bro, you go to sleep, you wake up, and it feels like you've been asleep 4 hours. It's been only 20 minutes.
You're like, no.
And you're like, man, fuck, I have 3 hours, 40 more minutes to kill. And every day you just hope that the night would come. And you keep hoping 10 days later you'll walk out of this place. It's... Confinement is a psychological prison in a certain way.
Yeah.
And it brings out the best and the worst of you. Like, it's a real experience.
That is a real experience. Like, as much as I've been alone, there is I can feel the intimidation of being alone and like in the dark and stuck in one spot. Just because the perspective on time that you're talking about, it just can take forever and you're like lost in this and all of that. That's interesting.
You ever wonder about
Cool
what the
practice.
difference between loneliness and solitude is?
Well, you definitely can be lonely in the city, and you can be lonely amongst your family members. Solitude is, a change of circumstance that has you alone by yourself, whereas loneliness is a way of being in the world that is probably indicative of some unhealth.
Yeah.
That you need to focus on, whereas solitude is just a circumstance.
Do you think it's a fair way to say it in that loneliness is often spiritual and solitude is physical?
Yeah, that'd be a way to put it. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I mean that would be the, if loneliness is an indication that you need to rework something in your life, work on relationships, work on yourself, then that work is the spiritual, path to some degree. So, whereas, like you said, solitude is just it's your physical
Situation, your
situation,
circumstance,
which you can be completely. I can't say I felt really that lonely on alone because I just was very secure in my relationships and in my love. It was actually a very nice time for me
to get away from
like
the family.
practice the presence of God, as they say. And like I was very prayerful and very like, because I knew it was temporary, it was just a solitude, that I could enjoy. I did have the thought that if I knew I was the last person on earth and I didn't have the relationships and the people, if I was truly lonely at the same time, that I don't think I would even bother trying to survive. Like I was interesting because it was just changed that variable, and my experience, which was quite positive and quite good and quite hopeful, would have switched to being just
passive.
desperate. Yeah.
Right, very interesting.
guys, मैं बता नहीं सकता कि इस क्लिप में मैं वो सारी बातें डाल ही नहीं सकता जो उस पूरी कॉन्वर्सेशन में हुई है. इतनी इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्वर्सेशन है. आपको हमारे मेन चैनल पे जाना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा एफर्ट लगाना पड़ेगा, सब्सक्राइब बटन दबाना पड़ेगा, बेल आइकॉन दबाना पड़ेगा और हमारे साथ वक्त बिताना पड़ेगा.